Alrighty, so we have talked about what CSS is and some of the language and the lingo behind it, but let's practice this in Dreamweaver. So what we're going to be doing is working with your text and CSS site that we worked with in last week's tutorial. So what I'm going to have you do is open that up. Just a reminder, if you are or have been working on a different website, the way that you can work with it or change it is you come over to your files panel and there's this drop down menu. Right now mine's on portfolio, that's just my personal site. But as you drop down, what you're going to see is any site that you have connected to your Dreamweaver should pop up here. So you might have your text and CSS, you're gonna have your practice site, and then you're gonna have your own client site. And so this is just how you can toggle between different websites that you're working on. So let's click on your text and CSS and it should populate with everything that you have been working on. And just go ahead and open up your index page. Remember, index means homepage. And so when I open it, you should have all of your files here for you to work with and that you have worked with in the past. And what we're just going to be doing is adding styles. And so I'm just going to be working through this worksheet that you have access to on Canvas. The first thing that we are going to do is to create a CSS page. And to do so, okay, what you're going to go over to, we have our files, and then we have some other aspects here, and then we have what we call the CSS designer. Okay, this is where your CSS files and how we're going to be working with our CSS files. The first thing that you're going to do is click on this addition of sources, and this just indicates that right now we don't have any CSS files linked to our page. And so to create a new one, we're just going to click this plus, and there's going to be a couple of options here. When we're creating a brand new style sheet, what you're going to click on is create a new CSS file. And what we always name our style sheet is styles. Okay, you don't need .css, you just need styles, and this is what you're always going to name your style sheets. So you're going to click styles. You can double check that it's in the right folder, but it should automatically be there. I just wanted to double check that mine was in the right place and it's in my text and CSS folder. Okay, and I'm just going to click cancel, but it says styles, and I'm going to press OK. What you'll notice is now we have our source code. Our source code is all of our HTML. And then we have what we call our style sheet. And this is where we're going to start developing the styles and the guidelines for our website. So now that you have created your CSS page, what we're going to start adding are some of our CSS rules. On your Word document, and every time that I have you go through a tutorial or a practice site or just working with it, I'm going to be listing the rule here, like H1, and then the information that you need to include. There are a couple ways to do this. I really want you guys to get comfortable with code, but I'm also going to show you a way to look at all of the different selectors for each of your rules. So we're just going to start with general code for our H1. So just going back to our source code, what we're going to be updating is anything with an H1. So here is the only one I think on this site, but it's ISC 497 special topics in web design. So again, you can toggle between your HTML and your style sheet, and we're just going to start writing H1, and it's going to write H1 when you write that. And then whenever you're working with CSS, you are going to add these two little brackets that look exactly like that. All of your selectors are going to go in between these brackets right here. So the first one that we're going to add is our font family, and you start writing font family. And Dreamweaver is smart. It starts populating the words that they think that you're going to get to. And I'm going to do font family Helvetica. Okay, and what you're going to notice is that it's going to say something like Gotham, Helvetica New, Helvetica Arial, Sans Serif. What this means is if a computer doesn't have Helvetica installed, it'll automatically make it go to Gotham or Arial or something similar in that area. So I do that, and the final thing that you need is this semicolon. And the semicolon just indicates we're at the end of that selector, okay? So as you've noticed, our H1 has just been restylized to have our font family of Helvetica within that H1. Afterwards, what we can start adding are some different things like font size, and I just want it to be 2 EM, and then our color, and you can copy and paste the hex code, or you can just type it right there. Okay, and so my color palette's just going to be like a fall color palette. But each time what you're going to have is just a list that says for my H1 indicator, I want it to be a font family of Helvetica New, Arial, blah, 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 font size of 2 EM. Okay, and then our color of this green color. We're going to repeat that same thing with our H2, just with a different color and a little bit different of size. So you'll just write H2, your font family, then you'll write your font size, and then you will write your color. And then your semicolon. And as you've noticed, everything that you have indicated that was going to be an H2 is now your H2. Okay, we're going to do that same thing with our paragraph, but I'm going to show you a nifty, handy trick that is also in our CSS panel. So I'm just going to write P first, and let's come over to our CSS designer. Okay, they have this area that's called media. We'll get to this later on. But what you've noticed is that it started to indicate all of your rules that you have created. So I've created an H1, an H2, a P, whatever it might be. And when I come down to my properties, okay, so we have our selector, this is where we can start to see all of the properties that are set. Okay, and this checked button, it says show set. This means this is what I've currently set my rule to be. I can unclick that box, and there's going to be a whole lot of different rules that will show up, or different properties that you can indicate. This one right here refers to layout. So when we notice these boxes, we can change the width, the height, blah, blah, blah. And we'll be doing that later on in this tutorial series. We have our text, we have different borders, our backgrounds, whatever it might be. And so you can use these to help you to develop your site. So I'm going to go ahead and click on P, and I'm going to set my colors and my font size, etc., working with this P. So when I set the color, you can either use the color wheel to select a color if you wanted to go that way. You can use your RGBA, which helps with opacity, or we can just write in our hex code. So for my paragraph text, I'm just using black, which is 000, or 6 zeros. Okay, and then I've automatically set my color to be black. For my font family, I can click on it, and it has all of my different fonts that I can be working with. Okay, and it automatically starts writing in your rules for you. And then I'm going to set my font size to EM, and then I'm going to say 1 EM. Okay, and so we have just set our various different color levels for our paragraph text that is there. In this video, what we're going to be talking about is how we can start to stylize our links. And in this case, what I want to do is take this typical blue color and make it a different color so it matches the theme of my website. You can make links whatever color you want them to be, but my best advice is to make it so it's in contrast from your text. So your main paragraph text, you just want your links to be a different color. That way people can point them out and see them very easily that this is a link, and I can click on it and go somewhere else or find out any other information. The first thing that we're going to do, okay, is take our A link. The A link just means this is the code for if somebody comes to my website and they want to see the links at a different color. So I'm just going to set the color to be D97236. Okay, and it's automatically going to upload with this fall orange color that is there. The next rule that I'm going to set is A visited. And A visited just means when somebody has come to your site and they've already clicked on your link, it indicates that they've already clicked on it and it just goes to a different color. Sometimes you're going to see this in standard. Let me just scroll down here. It's like a standard purple color. You can leave it. You can change it to whatever you want. To fit the color scheme of my site, I am going to make it this, I think it's a green color. So when I have my A visited, okay, and I have that text in there, what you'll notice is that this click here to view assignments, it has changed to that pretty green. The next thing that I'm going to set is hover. Hover is what you think of hover. It's when you hover over something and that color changes. And this is just kind of a way to indicate to the viewer as they hover over something that that color will change. And so what you do is hover, and you type in your color, and I'm going to make it this green color again. And what you'll notice is when I hover over it, it has this change in color. Sometimes what you also might want to change are just things like removing the text decoration. And what I mean by text decoration is on my University of Kentucky in my email, I've noticed that there's an underline. Perhaps I just don't want that underline. I don't like the style of it. If you are forgetful of a code or you don't have your book with you, you can always come over to your CSS selectors, click on text, and then look at some of the rules or these properties that are there. And for text decoration, you can either have something that's underlined or overlined or lined through, or you can just say none. And as you know, it populates down there and it has it. What this indicates is anytime, especially if you're working with the A link, anytime there's a link, okay, it will remove that text decoration if that's what you wanted to do for your website. So the last thing that I'm going to show you how to do is we've made this style sheet. And if you remember from our little mini lecture, you can apply your style sheet to multiple sheets. So you don't have to keep redesigning your website for every page that is on there. Right now, what I have is my index page opened up. What I'm going to do is go back to files. So click on your files panel and I'm going to open up my assignments.html page. What we've noticed is that this is still in that original look that is here. And so what we have to do is attach our style sheet to our web page. So to do this, it's very similar as if you were creating one. You're going to go from Files and click on your CSS designer. And you're going to click either this plus button or this drop-down menu to add a new CSS source. And instead of saying create a new page, what you're going to say is attach existing CSS file. So I'm going to say attach existing. I'm going to make sure that I'm in my root folder, and apparently I'm not. So I'm going to click text and CSS, and I'm going to click my styles.css and open, and I'm going to say add as link. I'm going to press OK. And what you'll notice in the head, so remember the head is like the brain, what it has added is a link to your style sheet. And so it'll say link href styles.css, it's a style sheet, etc. And it automatically updated everything on your website. So I'm gonna press save or our file save all. And when I preview this in my browser, okay, I have a slowly but surely opening. I have a fully designed assignment sheet, and when I click on go back to the home page, I have a fully designed introduction or index or home page. Okay, and my text link, I've already visited this multiple times. It's gone green. As I hover over the orange, it's green. You have just learned how to make basic text styles for your website.